So that was the final, like, after going to church, you know, by myself, or Nick would sometimes come and hang out in nursery with the kids. You know, we did that for a while. And I just said, but at what cost? Like, why? You know, and belonging and community were the big things. And so that's when I was like, maybe I'll just post about meeting up with people who can relate. And that's when the Facebook group and the community started to grow.
What'd you do?
So one night I just hopped on Instagram and just said, hey, does anyone want to come over to our house and have a pizza party and game night, and we can talk about our existential crises together? And 20 ladies, like strangers, showed up. And I was surprised that, I mean, this is kind of a weird thing to just invite someone to. And anyway, so the ladies came over and they stayed until like midnight or 1.
Well, and it was kind of like random conversations and whatever. And then everyone went downstairs in a circle. And then like everyone just went through their heavy stories.
And it's just like there were a lot of the same themes, but everyone was unique in their stories. And
what was that like for you?
It was just so validating. Like it was just so, and we all weren't at the same belief status. Like some people were still trying to make it work. Some people had stepped away. And just the wisdom, and everyone was so thoughtful and mindful, like with the way that they would describe their journeys, to be respectful. But we decided to just start a Facebook group with just those 20 ladies. And then we started to do meetups. And this was before COVID. Like we had Thomas Wortham and Conkey come to our house. We cleared out all of the furniture in our house. We put it on the back porch, and I
got down in the crawl space and reinforced the joists in our floors so that we could have more people. Yeah, and it's not a big house.
And we fit like 100 people in there. We just put chair-to-chair bodies. People were sitting up our staircase, like in our kitchen, in the hallway. And Thomas led us through like a beautiful meditation and then talked about the stages, you know, navigating.
Just recreating my experience with it.
Yeah, Nick's like, can you recreate that? Yeah. And he was like, sure. You know, and we had Janice Spangler. She did a meetup of just answering questions of people trying to figure out on how to make it work, and questions about how to deal with family. And we had like a sex therapist one time. We did like white elephant. Like we were just doing meetups at the park.
Was the intent to help people stay in a mixed faith marriage, to help people stay in the church? What was the intent?
I mean, like when I started the group, I was still trying to make the church work for our family. But as it evolved, like, I mean, it's just, it's hard to stay put in one spot. And so I think we all just have unraveled. Now the Faith Journey Meetups is what the group is called on Facebook.
Faith Journey Meetups.
Faith Journey Meetups.
Is it public or?
It's private because there are quite a few, it's women only at this point, because initially it started as mixed faith support, and I just thought it could get kind of hairy if we had men and women's spouses meeting up together in what is probably a tense situation at home, you know, so I just wanted to avoid the drama. So at this point it was ladies only, and
mostly Salt Lake.
Yeah, but it has just started to grow, and so now it's about 2,000 women.
What?
Yeah, and it just, seriously, maybe like 25 ladies join every week. Just, it's constantly growing. I don't know.
And they're all bearing their soul and saying like, this is the thing keeping me alive. This is like where I'm finding.
A lot of people are closeted as they're transitioning away. So it's more of women who have left the church or who are navigating / transitioning or distancing and setting boundaries.
How does someone join if they want to join?
Just request to join and I will add you.
Can they see it?
They can search it. It comes right up.
Group. It comes up, but
yes. It initially started as private, but then so many women started joining. I'm like, I can't just go manually do this because I was just doing it by myself. And so, yeah, they just search it, and then I'll
And the types of people you want are people in faith crisis, women
who are in need of support. And there's some women who are still trying to make some aspects of the church work, but it's not a group to join if you haven't explored some of the critical things about the church. So anyway, I would say a vast majority have left, but it has been very for a Facebook group dealing with something as difficult and complex as a faith transition. We've had maybe 5 instances where I've had to like resolve some issues, but it has been very supportive and empathetic. And I think the women are just like craving to talk about what's hard in their lives.
And if it is mostly women who at this point have left, I think most of them have been in that group through some phase of their transition.
Yeah, there are a few ladies that we started out as mixed faith, and we've all kind of transitioned away together just on our own journeys. But
yeah.
How common is it for a woman to go into faith crisis mode and then resolve it and then stay faithful versus end up leaving and losing faith?
I've seen one woman in the group who's done that out of the 2,000. I think it's very, very rare.
That was a perplexing case.
But I mean, maybe there are some others that haven't told me. There have been like one or two that have messaged me and said, this is kind of a hard place that I'm really trying to like stay as faithful as possible. And I think if you're really trying to stay as faithful as possible, it may not be the best group to join unless you need support in doing that. But the women have all just been very, like some of my best friends now I met in the group. And so.
Did COVID kind of kill the momentum?
Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely. What were you doing in terms of meetings before COVID?
So yeah, we did the Thomas Worth and McConkie, the Janice Spangler. We did some play dates, and it's also like meant to be a hub that other women can meet and just do their own play dates. So there's just a bunch of like offshoots of women, and even now there are women who are like, let's go on a hike together, and there's like 5 women who go, So it's just kind of a hub to be like, is anybody in St. George? And this has branched to people out of state as well, but mostly Utah. But yeah, it's just like, is anyone located here? I'd love to chat with somebody. And I just had a friend call on the phone. She's someone I met in the group, and she said, this group has literally been life-changing. I just met a friend in the group, and we talk often. And, so it's just like, when you step away from the ward, you're kind of stepping away from a very convenient way to meet with other people. And so this was just similar to Thrive. This is just another way to do that. It's a little bit more work, but.
Sounds like a full-time job.
It is.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's so fulfilling for me. It's so, I love it. The community. I just can't wait till we can start doing meetups again.
What do you want to do? So what do you see the future of the group potentially being?
That's a good question. I don't know. Right as COVID kind of shut everything down, we had it's scheduled with Lindsay Hansen Park to talk about Europe polygamy, because that is such a huge topic, and her podcast comes up every few days on the group forum, and so I would love to create just, I don't know, more meetups and a venue for people who are wanting to raise kids around other people who are like-minded, similar to what the ward aspect brings. You might have to drive a little bit further, but if we could create a place that's great for families to come together and couples and ways to meet friends who you feel like you won't be judged for drinking coffee or not wearing garments or not believing in God. So, but I don't know. It's kind of unraveling.
Yeah, it's open-ended. See what it becomes.
Should the church be worried that social media makes it so accessible for people to find community, to find support? Is it something that's all good? Is it, from the church's perspective, is it dangerous? Do you have any thoughts on that? Or do you care?
Well, I'm going between the balance of burn it all down, but like speaking of the church, but also like everyone close to us and family are all still very believing, and I want my kids. And we want to have really good relationships with those people. So I'm trying to find that balance of like being respectful and honoring that, but also like I'm so angry. And the fact that all these support groups are needed is just really unfortunate. But I think it's absolutely a detriment to the church, for sure.
Why?
Like women join the group and are exposed to things. And even just in conversations, like the same way with Nick. Like I was exposed to things that Nick was talking about that I don't think I would have naturally looked into myself, but then as I look into it, I'm interested, and it's also devastating. So, I mean, you're just proximity to people with critical thinking of the church is not a good thing.
I hate to keep using this metaphor, but it's basically a super spreader. Groups like this become super spreaders of the virus.
Well, and it's
right?
just, like, especially me growing up, hearing about the good ship Zion and everyone who gets off, like they're drowned, they're miles back, clinging to an iceberg, it's going to melt and they're done. And so just being exposed to people.
I feel like we're just like the little rowboat that just comes by and just like picks people who are swimming in the ocean and just plops them in. So it's not a place to get people to leave. That is definitely not the intention. The intention is to support where most people feel like they're doing it by themselves.
And then they see a bunch of other people in rowboats who are all singing songs and being happy. And it's like, wow, like it is not bad when you leave the good ship Zion. Like there's plenty of
beauty. Like there are women who are, like talking about their coffee orders or celebrating their double piercings or a new dress that they bought that they can't
Showing
show
their
anybody else, and their
tattoos.
tattoos. Yeah, it's just
Trying
like
alcohol for the first time.
yeah, it's like a page of celebration, and also women coming to terms with maybe feeling oppressed or, things that are just really hard to work through. And it's just like, if you need some cheerleaders, just, 50 comments of women saying, I believe in you, I support you, I think what you're doing is important. Because a lot of times, many of these families and women are just feeling like being told that you're deceived. This is evil. You're bad for exploring, so.